Before anyone else on the other side saddles up and gets on their high legal horses, I just want to remind the committee that the chairman is 754 days into his own subpoena defiance. Mr. Attorney General, last week it was reported that House Ethics Panel subpoenas DOJ for Gates records. It was a May 14, 2024 political piece. I'd like to submit it to the record with unanimous consent.
Without objection.
I just want to get this straight. Mr. Gates wants the Attorney General to reopen and publicize evidence from an investigation that a Donald Trump-appointed prosecutor closed against President Biden, while at the same time, Mr. Gates himself is being protected by the same DOJ policy that is refusing to voluntarily turn over evidence from Mr. Gates' sex trafficking investigation. Mr. Attorney General, can you just briefly, without going into the facts of that case, address why that is the DOJ policy as it relates to the current president and any other requests about closed investigations?
Yeah, without referencing any case, we try to protect the law enforcement files of the Justice Department so that in future investigations, people are willing to cooperate with us. We understand Congress's concerns, and we have an obligation to assess whether the information that we've provided is sufficient to accommodate the legitimate needs of the Congress. All of the reasons that Congress has given us for why they need the audio are satisfied with respect to the tapes. That is, all of the legitimate reasons given, the reasons that relate to legislative work of the committee. As to that, we've accommodated by providing the audio. We provided Mr. Hur's testimony in full, and we've provided Mr. Hur's testimony report. We've gone as far as we can go to accommodate. We're trying to protect our ability to do investigations in this case and in any other case.
Mr. Attorney General, let's set the facts straight here. And my job is to kind of lead an intervention for my colleagues. I think they need it. The Attorney General did not prosecute Donald Trump in New York. It was the result of Donald Trump's choices. Donald Trump chose to live in New York. He chose to commit his crimes in New York. He was afforded a right to be tried by his neighbors, jurors, in New York. He chose that jury in New York, working with his counsel, and they chose to make him a 34-time over convicted felon. But some of the choices the department has made in the recent years is that the president that was first appointed, that Donald Trump appointed the U.S. attorney who is investigating the current president's son. Donald Trump appointed John Durham, who investigated the wild claims made by this committee during the Russia investigation, and Donald Trump appointed Robert Hur, who was kept on by the Biden administration. Also, you have the right in our country to aid yourself in your own defense and talk to investigators. You also have a right not to. Mr. Attorney General, did Donald Trump sit down for an interview in the Mueller investigation?
I actually don't know, but I'm not going to comment on other investigations.
He didn't. Did he sit down for an interview with investigators prior to the January 6th indictment?
I'm not going to comment on
He didn't. He also didn't sit down for an interview with investigators in the classified materials indictment, but President Biden did sit down for a voluntary interview with Robert Hur. A jury can't hold it against Donald Trump that he did not testify in his own defense in New York, but he promised everyone else in the country that he would. You can hold it against Donald Trump that he did not testify when you consider whether you should so blindly follow every wild claim that he makes. My colleagues, none of this today that you are bringing makes sense. Your inconsistencies, your hypocrisy, your sycophancy, unless you are in a cult. And guys, I'm starting to think you're in a cult. That is your right, but it's not your responsibility. I promise you that's not what your constituents would want. So if you believe in states' rights, except when a jury in that state convicts your nominee for president, you might be in a cult. If you claim you back the blue but want to defund the police when the police go to your nominee's house to retrieve national security secrets, you might be in a cult. If you're supporting a guy whose felony convictions prevent him from getting a security clearance, you might be in a cult. And if the guy you're supporting for president has felony
Chairman.
convictions that prevent him from going to
Mr. Chairman,
Argentina,
I move that the
Australia,
gentleman's words be
Brazil,
taken down.
Cambodia, Canada,
Mr.
Chile,
Chairman.
China,
Time.
Cuba, Dominican Republic, Egypt, Ethiopia,
Mr. Chairman,
Hong
my
Kong,
my motion
India,
takes precedent.
Indonesia,
Time of the-
Iran,
time of the
Ireland,
gentleman.
Israel,
Time of the gentleman has
Japan,
expired.
Kenya, Macau, Malaysia,
now recognizes-
Mexico, Morocco, Nepal,
Gentleman is out of
New
order. The
Zealand,
time has
Peru,
expired.
Philippines, Singapore, South
Gentleman.
Africa, South Korea, Taiwan, Tanzania, Tunisia, Turkey, Ukraine, United Arab
Time of the
Emirates,
gentleman
and
has
the
expired.
UK.
The
You
gentleman
might
from
be in a cult.
Kentucky is recognized for 5 minutes. I'm asking that the gentleman
I have unanimous consent request.
has unanimous consent request.
I ask unanimous consent to submit for the record an amicus brief.
Prosecution of Donald Trump in the state court in New York. As far as weaponization of the department goes, did the Justice Department indict Senator Menendez?
It's a matter of public record, yes.
And he's a Democrat, isn't he?
I'm assuming the answer is yes.
And Henry Cuellar, Justice Department indicted him. He's a Democrat too,
Again,
isn't he?
It's a matter of public record.
So you've prosecuted Democrats, and as we speak, Hunter Biden, who is the son of the president, is under trial in Delaware. And so you haven't weaponized the Justice Department in terms of hiding and protecting Democrats Menendez, Cuellar, and Hunter Biden.
The Justice Department follows the facts and the law. We prosecute like cases alike, and we make decisions about different cases in different ways. We do not allow the political party or the ethnicity or the religion or the race or the wealth or the influence of someone we're investigating to make a difference in our charging decisions.
I noticed Mr. Gates, who took you on first, is not here now. And that's unfortunate because he is living testament to the fact and direct evidence that you have not weaponized the Justice Department. He was investigated for sex, and while many expected a prosecution, you chose not to prosecute this very active Republican. Is that true? You did not prosecute him?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what is in the public record and what's not, so I'm just not going to comment on that.
General, I hadn't asked you about the verdict yet. We were getting there. I was talking about the judge. And so let me ask you this question about your time as a judge. Was there ever a time when you were a judge when you had a family member who was personally profiting off of the notoriety of a case that was before your court?
Look, I'm going to say again, it's very clear you're asking me to comment on a case in another jurisdiction.
No, wait, hold on, Mr. Attorney General. Did you ever have a family member profit off of the notoriety of any case that you sat over?
Say again, you're asking
Yes or no?
You're asking me to comment on a case currently.
Well, it seems you're
For
connecting the
another
dots,
court.
Mr. Attorney General. I'm just asking you as to a general principle, but you are aware that Judge Merchan's daughter was profiting off of this prosecution. You are aware that that creates the appearance of impropriety. You know the very reason there's a federal rule against judges giving donations is because it is the very attack on the judicial process that we're concerned about.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with anything you just said, but I'm not going to comment on a.
Okay,
on an
so you
action
won't
in
comment
another
on it, Mr.
court.
Attorney General, but you had no problem dispatching Matthew Colangelo. Who's Matthew Colangelo?
That is false. I did not dispatch Matthew Colangelo.
Matthew
That's
Colangelo,
false.
Matthew
False.
Colangelo became the Assistant Attorney General at the very beginning of the Biden administration. Without having been Senate confirmed, goes and gets this senior role at the DOJ, and then after, I believe it's Gupta replaces Colangelo, Colangelo makes this remarkable downstream career journey from the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., and then pops up in Alvin Bragg's office to go get Trump. And you're saying that's just a career choice that was made that has nothing to do with the lawfare coordinated
I'm
by
saying
the
it's false. I did not dispatch Mr. Colangelo anywhere.
Well, do you know how he ended up there?
I assume he he applied for a job there and got the job.
But see, you know
I
what?
can tell you I had nothing to do with it.
Well, you might not have had anything to do with it, but we've got this contemporaneous evidence in Mr. Pomerantz's book. So Pomerantz
Yield the remainder of my time to the chairman.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Is the Department of Justice retaliating against whistleblowers?
No, that would be a violation of statute and a violation
Well,
of
the
our.
Inspector General seems to think you are. I got this Management Advisory Memorandum dated May 2024, notification of concerns regarding the Department of Justice compliance with whistleblower protections for employees with a security clearance.
I've read the management memo. I think it's a good memo. It doesn't say we've been retaliated against anybody. It says that there have to be additional protections with respect.
Is it just pure coincidence that Marcus Allen's security clearance got reinstated today? Whistleblower came in front of this committee. Democrats disparaged this guy, called him a conspiracy theorist. 27 months without his security clearance, and we find out today it's been reinstated?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know about the facts, anything about the facts of that case. Retaliation against whistleblowers is against the law, and it will be punished.
3 people who've come and talked to this committee as whistleblowers have had their security clearance taken. Marcus Allen gets his security clearance put back in place today. And the Inspector General says he's got concerns, doing an investigation as we speak about what's going on.
I'm sorry, the management memo that you're talking about does not conclude there was any retaliation against
No,
anybody.
he's putting you on notice that he's investigating.
It doesn't say
Mr. Chairman, regular order.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Garland over here.
Oh.
Do you want additional time to answer the chairman's questions or comments?
No, I've answered. We do not, if there is, it is the policy and the practice, if somebody has a complaint about whistleblowing, to go to the Inspector General. That's why the Inspector General is investigating it. The memorandum that the Inspector General issued does not say he concluded that anybody retaliated against anybody.